Hey everyone, welcome back, and if it's your first time to the Game Closet, thank you for stopping by, and please, please, please stick around because you really do not want to miss this one.
Hey bud, stop your yapping and get on with it.
Oh, get on with what, sir?
Get on with reviewing my game.
Oh, yes, sir, I was just getting to it. Do you like popcorn?
I'm a squirrel. Of course I like popcorn.
Okay, well everyone, here's a squirrel with the gun. Do you mind putting the gun down during the review?
Sure, but no funny stuff or I'll give you a few new holes to whistle out of.
Okay, time to bite the bullet. Take it easy, Dirty Harry. That's just a figure of speech. Jesus, guy. For me? He think... DD Games and Maximum Entertainment is really shooting for the moon with Squirrel with a Gun. Now, when I saw the trailer for this game, I thought, holy crap, these guys made a game just for me. And at the time of this review, it's available for Xbox Series X, S, Windows, and you are seeing the PlayStation 5 version here. And as a fun side note, you actually get to see me playing it here for just a few minutes, so enjoy as you see me doing my best. Yeah. This indie sandbox game is just what the doctor ordered, and when I ordered the game from Amazon, it was only $30. Now that is a bargain for a new game these days, especially a halfway decent one. Squirrel with a Gun is an action-adventure title with a great sense of humor and lots of tongue-in-cheek ideas. As soon as the splash screen pops up, we are treated to a James Bond-esque theme song, which primed me to giggle. Mysteriously, our squirrel protagonist breaks into a top-secret laboratory, solves a few simple tutorial puzzles, and swallows a hard drive shaped like an acorn. That's when the Agent Smith clones start chasing our little squirrel friend, and we're off to the races. If you are expecting a AAA experience with this game, you are going to be sorely disappointed. Dial back your expectations just a little bit and think about the $30 you spent on the game, and you will hone in on the level of expectation you should have, and then you may get a little more than you were actually expecting. When I originally saw the trailer, I was thinking it was going to be more of a ridiculous murdering rampage by some assassin squirrel just wanting to kill everyone because nobody liked Joker 2. But Squirrel with a Gun isn't that vapid. Much like Untitled Goose Game, Squirrel with a Gun is a puzzle game, but it has plenty of action in it. And it has tons of ways to earn acorns. That's in-game squirrel money to buy and unlock weapons, vehicles, and access to certain places. As you unlock items and solve puzzles, you open up new parts of the map. However, you can see what needs to be done in the menu. You aren't given a super clear direction of what you need to do for some tasks, and that may take some exploring on your part, or you may just need to cheat and look up some walkthroughs if you get stuck. I hate doing it that way, but sometimes there's no alternative. With the spy-like feel and over-the-top silliness the game offers, it's not without a few knots in the squirrel's fur. Sometimes the NPC's movements slow down inexplicably, and I'm not talking about the squirrel's ability to slow time down like bullet time. But sometimes you will just see NPCs just walk slower, then speed back up. It could be a frame rate issue in some spots, but in others, it could be just a glitch. There are times where characters will fire their guns through walls and even fall through or stand halfway through walls. Plus, the camera itself can get a little wonky, and there are camera adjustments you can do in the options, so please make your own adjustments before getting too disappointed. Additionally, when the squirrel goes into rage mode, sometimes his finishing shot will throw him straight through the ground or floor. Once the animation is finished, he resettles to the surface. It's a really odd and goofy glitch, but at least it doesn't crash the game. I have also noticed some frame rate slowdown when there's a lot going on, like shootouts with many agents on the screen at one time. While the sound effects are pretty good in most respects, the music can get very repetitive. Different themes are tied to certain actions too, like the hard rock guitar theme when our squirrel friend is chased and engages in gunfights with agents, and when he's just moseying around, there's a light-hearted piano and synth sort of jazz tune playing, but that can get old after playing the game for a few hours. It's hard to not draw comparisons to other games like Untitled Goose Game or Stray, but oftentimes, in Stray there was no music at all, just the background ambiance of the city. There's the jazz piano music in Untitled Goose Game that was reminiscent of the incidental music in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It felt like it was an appropriate companion for your trip through the Goose's grotto, as it were. Goose Game's music changed throughout the game, and in most times it was just incidental. However, in Squirrel with the Gun, the music is more of a soundtrack to what's going on in-game, and there are times that I could opt to turn off the repetitive parts, but then I would never hear the new music when it's supposed to present itself. Additionally, the game's music does offer clues as to what could be going on at the moment, like if you're being chased by an agent that spotted you and he's running up behind you, so I opted to keep the music on. Now, I'm not saying the music is annoying, just repetitive. Now, perhaps it's just me, but because of the slight musical tedium, I found myself playing the game in smaller doses than I did with Goose Game or Stray. Take that information any way you may, but everyone has their thresholds. Our wily little squirrel friend also has a unique animation for his rage mode for each weapon he carries. However, each weapon only gets one variant of said rage finishing move, so if he's holding the Uzi submachine gun, there will only be one finishing move for that weapon. Not a deal breaker, and I'm well aware that this isn't a AAA game like Mortal Kombat. I've also noticed a particular issue with certain tasks. Now, it could just be me, but it seems like some tasks require specific inside knowledge or actions that aren't explicitly explained. For instance, the basketball hoop task is quite puzzling. You need to keep one basketball on the roof, but there's no apparent way to reset or replace it if it falls. It's possible I'm missing something, but it feels like an oversight or a deliberate challenge. Or I just plain suck.
I think you probably just suck, and this is a terrible show.
Thanks, Retro Rob.
I know Retro Rob. A homeless guy does videos making fun of him outside of Starbucks. Pathetic. Get on with it!
Oh, yes, sir. However, most tasks in the game are straightforward. I've had no trouble understanding the objectives or restarting failed attempts. Then there comes the occasional task that will take you a bit more time or completely stymie you. Not unlike some other games, of course. But it would be nice if there was a more intuitive and definitive way to outline what you needed to do, a lot like Untitled Goose Game. Of course, where there are underlings, there are bosses. The boss fights aren't too difficult and don't overstay their welcome. I do wish they were slightly more difficult, but considering the main system in the game for triggering some actions is simply hitting glowing targets with a weapon or throwing an object, that system makes it fairly easy to complete the task of thwarting the bosses. Classically speaking though, I have fought bosses that take so many hits to kill that a root canal might be preferable. So maybe it's just fine that the boss fights are a tad more forgiving than passing a kidney stone. The game's controls are very easy to learn, and movement of the squirrel and aiming the weapons is fairly tight. Jumping from platform to platform can take a bit of practice, and there is a jumping assistant that can be turned on in the menu so you can see right where you'll be jumping. So if you decide to play a game of "The floor is lava" in one of the neighborhood houses, you won't be jumping from the sofa and into the fire if you've become acclimated on how to jump from one spot to another with our furry little friend. On the whole, the graphics are pretty good, especially the cutscenes. The character models are decent enough, but it would seem the designers paid extra attention to our cute little protagonist. As I mentioned previously, the camera can trip over its own feet here and there, which can get slightly annoying, but it's no deal breaker by any means. Just think how terrible the camera was in Super Mario 64, and you will be thanking your lucky stars that Squirrel with a Gun didn't have the Mario 64 people working on that. Plus, a second thumbstick helps out a great deal too, so sorry Mario, even you can have a bad day. Look at it like this. In sheer numbers, this little indie game, Squirrel with a Gun, outperformed Concord, a game that took millions of dollars and almost a decade to develop. So, one could say that a little squirrel with a gun blew away its competition. Pun intended.
So, Dr. Scott, in a nutshell, no pun intended, would you recommend my game to your audience?
Oh, well, Jean-Luc, just like another game that I've mentioned during this review, Untitled Goose Game, Squirrel with a Gun will give me fond memories that will last a lifetime.
There was a firefight!
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see a blue for me and you, and
Yes, Jean-Luc. Absolutely, I recommend your game. For $30, you really can't go wrong. No, it's not Grand Theft Auto Squirrel City like I had hoped, but there's plenty of mayhem to keep someone playing until the very, very end. Is there anything you'd like to say to our audience?
Stay away from my nuts, and we'll see you very, very soon.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like Game Closet's videos, hit that like button real quick. Please consider subscribing and sticking around for more videos. There's a ton of fun and funny stuff here for you, so click one of the boxes on screen and I'd be happy to show you more in Dr. Scott's Game Closet.